Hi everyone, Miss Lapierre here to show you the basics of Zoom and how to create a Zoom link for your students or for your own needs. So first things first, the first thing we need to do is we need to sign in. So we click on the sign in at zoom.us. Easiest way to sign in is with Google. So here we go. We can see by my little icon here that I am signed in. And the first thing that you see, if you look on the left-hand side here, is that it goes straight to the Meetings tab. So on the Meetings tab, the first thing that you can see is you can see some meetings that are recurring or upcoming. So right now, as you can see, I have 2 recurring meetings here. You should have at least 2 recurring meetings on yours as well. If you're a teacher on the elementary side of our school, if you're in pre-K or you're a staff member, you may not see these, and that's okay because these are only upcoming. So we see here that we have my Zoom meeting here, and this is my link that is used for my students who are connecting with me if they are in confinement, basically, if they are isolated or in a confined class. Then this is the link that is on all of those schedules. And so you should have one of those as well. The other one that I have here is my link for a rencontre de parents. So I've created these links that if you need to meet with parents, you can use this specific link, and it is always recurring. And I will show you how to actually create your own recurring meeting if you want to right now. So how do we create a meeting? So if we go on the right-hand side here, we have a button that says schedule a meeting. We click on it. The first thing that we want to do is we want to give it a name. My meeting training. You can give it a description if you want to. You can create a template if you can use a template if you have a template. If not, just leave it at none. And I will show you how to create a template in a more advanced class. So now comes when your meeting will take place. So let's say that our meetings are always on Friday morning. So we're going to put Friday at 9 o'clock. I'm leaving the PM here, even though I said morning. This is for a reason. And so my duration, 1 hour. Please make sure that your time zone is set to Montreal. If your time zone is not set to Montreal, you'll notice that your time will be different. So it might show a different kind of time once it's scheduled, and that can create problems. The next thing we have here is recurring meeting. If this is a meeting that's going to happen often, then if you click on the recurring meeting tab, you have different options that you can do. So we have our recurrence. We can have it daily, weekly, monthly, and no fixed time. If we click on no fixed time, we end up with that recurring meeting like we have for those students that are in isolation, in case they are in isolation. So having a recurring meeting like this can be useful if you have a link that you will probably use often and at different times, just like our isolation students. That way, this meeting link is always active, and it gets activated whenever the host logs in. So once the host logs in, it becomes active, and then when the host signs out, it becomes inactive. And so it can continue like this as long as you need it. If it is a meeting that will happen on a more regular basis, then we can have a regular basis. Let's say it happens every week at 9 o'clock on Fridays. So we click weekly, it repeats every week on Friday, and then you can add either an end date or you can add after how many occurrences. We'll leave it like that for now. You do not need to click on the registration. This is for companies that basically ask you to sign up and put in your email address before the Zoom meeting occurs. This is not something that we do. Your passcode. So this is the password to get in to the Zoom meeting. You can go ahead and change it. The one that I use for the students is 2955. I know that a lot of people use 2021. And so we'll just change it to Vision 2021 for this. Waiting room. You can keep your waiting room if you wish, or you can take it off. That is your own choice. But by having a password in terms of security, you do not need to worry about having a waiting room since we do have a passcode. Require authentication to join. I would suggest not to click this one as well, because basically what this does is it's going to ask your participants to be sure to be signed into Zoom, usually using their École Vision email address if they have. And especially if you're working with students, that can create a lot of confusion with signing in. Sometimes they're signed in with their parents' accounts, and so that can create a lot of confusion. So don't require authentication over here unless you know for sure that every single participant that's going to be in your Zoom, for example, is a staff member of École Vision, and they should all be signed in order to come in. So the next thing we have here is the video tab. So you can control whether or not you want your video camera to be on or off once you start the meeting. Same thing for your participants. Do you want their cameras to be on or off once they sign in? For audio, there's 3 different options. There's telephone, computer audio, or both. I always actually usually leave it at both. For the vast majority of people, using the computer audio or using the internet to connect to audio is not going to be a problem. But for some reason, there are some people who are using devices where the audio won't necessarily work, and so they need to connect via phone. And that can happen, especially if there's some people that are using towers or stable computers, not laptop computers, in order to connect. Sometimes there won't be a microphone option for them, and so they'll need to log in through an actual telephone for the audio to work. That way, if you have both signed on, then your participants will be able to have the option. Now for our other meeting options. So allow participants to join anytime. So if you click this on, this basically allows participants to join the meeting even before the host actually gets in, which means that if you schedule a meeting and I decide that I want to show up 5-10 minutes early, I can do that, and I can be there alone, or I can be there with other participants without the host actually being present. I would not, this could be fine if it's a staff meeting or if it's a meeting with adults, but I would not do this if you are meeting with students. That way your students will not be left alone in a Zoom meeting. Muting participants upon entry. I would suggest strongly that you keep this one activated. That way, your participants will come into the Zoom meeting with their microphones muted, and that will make it much easier for you to start your meeting. You won't have to ask everyone to mute themselves. And it makes it a lot calmer environment once we start. Breakout room pre-assigned. So if you're using breakout rooms, you're going to see this breakout room pre-assigned. This only works if your participants are authenticated. So if your participants are not authenticated, the breakout room pre-assigned will not work, and so there's no point of using it. Automatically record meeting. If you need to record your meeting, then you go ahead and click this on. Additional data centers, we don't need to worry about this. Approve or block entry to users from specific regions, we don't need to worry about this either. And if you have not, every account has this one, but if you have the alternative host, you can add an alternative host. Now, adding an alternative host does not make it so that the host cannot join. It's to add a co-host or to change hosts, the original host does have to join in to the Zoom and physically change in order for that to happen, since we are using, at our school, we are using some free accounts. And so even if you add the option of having co-hosts, or you want somebody else to be able to host because you cannot be there, you have to still start the meeting in order for you to give the reins to someone else. Once we're done, we save. And so now we can see my meeting just to make sure that everything is okay. So my meeting training, January 29th, 9 p.m., that's not right. Remember that I said it was 9 in the morning. And so I'm going to go all the way down and edit. I want to edit only this meeting, all meetings, or cancel. I want to edit all of my meetings and make sure that I change it for AM. I go back and save, and then I can verify again. So everything seems to be fine. If you want, you can add it to your Google Calendar or your other calendars. You have your meeting ID here, your password here, your invite link here that you can copy. Copying the invitation will give you a lot of extra information. You can do that if you'd like, but I usually just copy this link here and paste it. And then you can see all the other meeting options that you have. If you wanted to save this as a template, you can always save it as a template to use it later on. If I click on meetings again, then I can see all of my recurring meetings that are all here, all set up at 9 a.m. every single Friday. And so I can actually come through here and start my meeting directly if I wanted to. So that's it for the basics of how to schedule a meeting in Zoom. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me, melapierre.ter@ecolevision.com. Have a great day, everyone.